I think we're all here. So the answer to that is no. The minutes of the meeting that we held on the 14th of March are there for everyone to look at. We have looked at those, and could I just ask this as a proposer and a seconder for those minutes? Proposed by Councillor Riddle and seconded by Councillor Wearmouth. Are you all in favour of the minutes? And I will sign those in that case at the end of the meeting. Disclosure of members' interest. Does anyone have any interest to declare? Richard Wearmouth.
Thank you, Chair. It's on paper E, which is capital programme proposals. There is, in one of the flood alleviation schemes, a stream that passes my garden and does actually flood the very bottom of it. And actually, we quite like it being flooded because it gives us something to look at. But nonetheless, I guess it is a prejudicial thing, and so I will not partake in the debate on that one. And okay. I will leave the room.
That's fine. Thank you very much for that. We move on to our first report today, which is a report of a Cabinet Member for Community Services, which is around the Social Housing Regulation Bill. And I'm going to ask Councillor Horncastle to take us through this.
Thank you. Do you want us to stand up or? Right, fine. Thank you. Thank you, Leader. Right, Social Housing Regulation Bill. Report 8. This is really a consequence of the Grenville Tower fire, and basically the aim is to give tenants greater powers and improve swift and fair redress to any concerns they may have. The bill seeks to improve the regulation of social housing by bringing forward a stronger and proactive regulatory regime. It will enable the regulator to intervene with landlords, i.e. us, who are performing badly, and guarantee any quick actions. It will enable a regulator to inspect landlords and arrange emergency repairs and provide tenants with information on their landlord's performance. This new approach is expected to be implemented from April 2024, so a year's time, and it's on track for that. It's still going through Parliament on third reading, I think. For us at NCC, it means the Council will be held responsible for ensuring our landlord service is managed effectively and complies with the new regulation. It means we will have to demonstrate compliance to both tenants and the regulator of the social housing. The regulator of social housing will have the power to undertake inspections of housing providers. We may see the introduction of cyclical Ofsted-style inspections. I'm not going through all the technical details in the report, it's all there, but all I'll say is that we have been asked by the regulator to participate in the pilot scheme from September onwards, and we may very well be doing that. So I would like to propose the recommendations, which I've discussed with senior officers, and I agree with them all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions or queries around this report? I'm pleased to see that we're going to actually carry out with a request to an appropriate local authority or resident social housing provider for them to help us with a peer review, just to kind of give us the checks and balances and general review of how we're doing. That's good news.
There'll be another paper coming back soon. So yeah, I'll discuss with Phil how that peer review is going to work.
Good. Okay, thank you very much. So this is a bit of national legislation that we are picking up on behalf of our tenants, and we will carry out the duties placed upon us with complete diligence, I know. So,
Councillor Riddle wanted to come in.
Oh, right, yes.
I welcome this. I don't think as a local authority we've got anything to fear here at all. I think, you know, we're a very good housing provider and we have good standard housing. My only slight concern here is the thing about energy efficiency and, you know, how you address that, because, you know, there is a duty here. Just ask Colin if he can respond to that.
On the energy efficiency side, exactly what angle you come from, John?
On the where it's got the safety, transparency, and energy efficiency. So presumably we're expected to audit every property and do improvements if we find that necessary.
Yeah, well, because this is going to be implemented from, in a year's time, the work has already started on a lot of this, and there already is, we're going to need extra resources. We will need extra officers, and some of the officers will have to be retrained in different directions, so all that's underway now. We can't just start this time next year. We've got to start the work now. So yes, this will be
Good,
taken.
that's fine. Yes, energy efficiency audits are being carried out, I believe, on properties. Good to ask our officer here. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, at the time of every new tenancy, we'll do a full energy audit on the property in terms of its energy performance certificate. And in response to Councillor Riddle's question, yes, we are actively looking at how we can improve our energy performance within our stock, and actually have been successful in securing grant to do that with new funding from central government. So that is part of our active planned capital programme to do that and improve the stock that we own now.
Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, so if there are no other questions, would someone like to propose the recommendations proposed by Councillor Patterson, seconded by Councillor Horncastle? Are you all in favour of those recommendations? That's unanimous, thank you. So we now move on to the next one, which is around the community services again. I'm going to ask Councillor Horncastle to talk to us about the council's sheltered accommodation schemes and introducing service charges.
Thank you. Right, I mean, we have discussed this at SLT previously, and what this is about is to bring, well, first of all, to bring us as an authority in line with all other authorities, because we have really been the odd authority out in not charging for these services. What this is about is that we have 8 sheltered accommodation schemes, and 7 of them don't have charges for some of the services. But historically, that goes back to about 2015, I think. But historically, what happened, I think it was 2018, with the help of Councillor Riddle, when he had this portfolio, the sheltered housing scheme in Allendale, which was run by Anchor Housing, and we were in great danger of losing that, and it was an absolutely brilliant facility for the people of that area, for the West. This council took Arneson Court on. But what happened was that Arneson, because it was run by a private company, they did charge for the services. So this paper is really about bringing all 8 in line. We can't have 7 not being charged and 1. All the different ways you could do this are in here, alternatives. The other extreme is to take away the charges from Arneson, which would result in us having a £50,000 shortfall in our HRA. So anyway, this is about bringing all 8 in line with each other. And we've discussed it in SLT. I mean, it is costing us nearly £700,000 a year by not charging in these other 7 sites. And it is badly affecting the HRA, which is mainly from the rent, financed by the rents. So what we've got, the situation at the moment is that all tenants who are currently paying for the costs, and some are not receiving that service because they're paying for it double on top. It's a bit like the rent increase that we had earlier this year in the budget of 7%. There's a large percentage of the people in these houses, in this accommodation, are on housing benefits. I think there's 65% in this instance. So 65% of people, if we go through with the recommendations, will not see any effect because it's paid for by someone else. So the recommendations we've got is to bring them all in line, is to a phased implementation, unless the new tenants, to bring all 8 in line, which is the only fair way we can possibly do this. And we did sort of, like when we discussed at SLT, go through all the different options. This is about getting protecting our HRA, because we need that for the very things that Councillor Riddle's just discussed, all the things got to do with our housing stock. So I'd like to say it is actually brings us in line with all the other authorities with the odd person out at the moment. So I thoroughly propose the recommendations.
Thank you very much. Any questions? I'm interested actually in the report where it highlights some comparators. So we see that what we're proposing is actually not as much as housing providers in the county are charging, which is good, and I'm pleased about that. So we stand up to scrutiny in terms of charging well on that. Anything from anyone?
Yeah, on that point, I mean, I could have mentioned that, but even with these charges are introduced, we'll still be charging less than other providers.
That's right. Good. Okay, so if there are no questions or queries, you propose those recommendations, I think. Is there a seconder, please? Councillor Patterson seconding. Are you all in favour of the recommendations? That's unanimous. That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. So now we move on to the paper on governance of council companies, which I will take briefly. Essentially, the council has been through a number of steps to ensure that arm's length companies or associated companies with us can be tested thoroughly in terms of transparency, the correct governance procedures, and ensuring that they are fit for purpose. So we've taken two papers now to Cabinet on this subject, and the final one in the three is around governance, and it lays out in front of you here how we propose to do that, and essentially we are suggesting that there should be a Cabinet shareholder committee, and we lay out the terms in terms of reference within the report, and that will be responsible for carrying out scrutiny and discussion and dialogue with arm's length companies of ours, to ensure that the governance has that correct linkage between professional and entrepreneurial work that any company might do. It links it to the governance of the council to make sure that we are all completely clear on outcomes and ambitions, initiatives and success where that happens. So it's the final paper, as I say, of three that pulls all of this together and makes it quite clear how we propose to do this in future. I can be quite clear that if we looked at Advanced Northumberland, for example, an organisation about which I'm very proud and is currently doing great work across the county, that will be chaired in future in a way that will allow much greater transparency and dialogue between the company and the council as a whole. So I think everything is moving in the right direction, and I'm very pleased to put this to you today, and I am glad, therefore, to propose the recommendation, which is that a Cabinet Shareholder Committee, the terms of reference of which are set out in Appendix A, as the governance arrangements being part of the development of a comprehensive governance framework for companies that are wholly or partly owned by the Council. So I propose that. Is there a seconder? There is. Are there any questions? Thank you. Are there any questions about this? No? Okay. Then can I take you to the vote, please? Proposed by myself, seconded by Councillor Patterson. Are you all in favour? Please show. That is unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. So we move on now to a very exciting piece of work that the Council are heavily involved in. And I'm going to ask Wojciech Plozaj to tell us about the Energy Central Learning, the campus, the Learning Hub, full business case.
Thank you, Leader. We are aware of the significant investment and developments to regenerate Blyth through the ambitious 70 million Energising Blyth programme. And this report provides an update since the Cabinet agreed the outline business case last year, actually 2 years ago, on the first of the significant projects to be brought through, which is called the Energy Central Learning Hub. It is the new STEM education and vocational training facility, developing energy sector skills and aspirations among young people at the school and college, and adults retraining for new roles. It will be based in Port of Blyth, where learners will develop skills in real-world energy port setting. This is a key project in supporting the growth of this important sector and ensures that young people and adults in our communities will have the access to the jobs being created and form the leaders of this important industry in the future. Council, together with Offshore and Renewable Energy Catapult and Port of Blyth, created a new company limited by guarantee, which is called the Energy Central Campus Limited, which has developed the full business case to access the town deal funds to support the construction of the learning hub. The report seeks Cabinet approval of the full business case and approval to enter into grant funding agreement to secure the town deal funds for the construction. Key points from the full business case are included in the report, which set out the strong economic and strategic value for the projects and provides the and what the project provides to the local and wider regional area. And it will be productivity and wage uplift benefits, local employment, and associated gross value added impacts. And I think the business to cost ratio was something about 3.2, which is very, very high for that kind of project. The report also sets out the increased costs due to cost inflation pressures we face with all of the projects. So we are asked to use Energizing Blyth project delivery support budget to cover this increased cost, and that's included in our MTFP. It's very urgent that we move on to the construction of the learning hub as soon as possible, and preparatory works have been underway to ensure we remain on track to open the hub for learners in 2024. And as soon as we agree that today, the construction will start next month. As the construction is undertaken, the work to develop the company will continue with our 3 partners, together with Advance and various business and education partners to establish the sustainable model for the learning hub, which is set up in the business case. There is already commitment by some and interest from many others as discussion progressed. We will develop some called partnership agreement, which will set up the responsibilities of each partner and how that company will be managed in the future. And I think that's more or less it, and I recommend that we approve the report.
Thank you very much. Guy.
Thank you, Leader. I'm 100% with Wojciech on this one. This has been a key project for Northumberland Skills and Northumberland County Council Education Department. It's part of our wider educational and industrial strategy to produce good schools, so people leave schools with a high level of education, and then we provide post-16 education that then leads on to highly paid jobs within the county. So it's absolutely key to our overall strategies. It's an exemplar project for the rest of the country to follow on.
I think on this one, what Guy mentioned, there is another project just next door to it, which is our amazing welding and fabrication facility, which will open very soon, I think.
We've got a visit, I think.
Yeah, so it's fantastic. We create a little vocational training campus on the riverside in Blyth.
Very exciting developments. Richard.
Thank you. And obviously I agree with both Guy and Wojciech. This is a really, really brilliant project. It provides a pathway to all of those jobs that are being created in the Blyth estuary for local residents. And we've always said in these meetings and elsewhere that we will only succeed in levelling up in Blyth and in the southeast of Northumberland if it's Northumberland residents getting access to those fantastic job opportunities that we're creating, and that there must never be a situation where they're simply peering over the fence wondering what happens in these fantastic factories and facilities that are being created. And to commend the project still further, this cost to benefit ratio at 3.3, there are projects up and down the country that will look at that benefit that's been created with huge amounts of envy. It's a phenomenal achievement. And if you look at that line in the report on page 7, in terms of total benefits, and particularly the boost that we're getting for jobs, for wages, and for the local economy, 40 odd million pounds wage uplift benefits. That's massive for that population, and you couldn't find a better reason, I think, than that to support this project. Thank you.
Yes, Geoffrey.
Just on page 13 about asset purchase, lease number 39. Now we're talking about selling an area of land from Ascent Homes to ECC. I just wonder, is that at a no profit and something that Advance are doing, or is it a commercial sale? Because quite often we Advance don't make any profit on doing this, and then they looked at the bottom line at the end of the year and said, you know, we haven't made any profit. I just wondered, I don't know whether anybody knows the answer to that question.
I don't know the answer. Maybe Janice, sitting behind me, knows the answer.
I think it's for not-for-profit, Councillor Watson. I think it's Associated Car Park. Actually, it's not development land, in actual fact. They're not giving up housing land as such. It's car park.
It's the land on the front of the Commissioner's Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
Good, yep, absolutely. So, to summarise, it is a fantastic project in which the County Council should be involved and is heavily involved. I would just pay tribute to all those businesses who have joined together to realise the need and the essential need to upskill our residents in this really exciting field of work that is growing daily. So I'm very proud of all of those businesses and their leaders, and thank you for all the work that they've done. And it is absolutely right that the County Council is involved, and a great thing for us to be involved in, and I wish it well. So, was there a proposer for the recommendation proposed by Councillor Pojai, seconded by Councillor Renner Thompson? Are you all in favour? Yep, that's... Thank you very much indeed. Now we come on to how we're going to spend some money. And the first one is around flood and coastal erosion and some additional schemes. And as you may have gathered, some of this is involved in the Hepscot area, which has been troubled greatly in recent flooding events. And the amount of money that is being talked about here is significant, but it is felt that it is right to join together with the Environment Agency to carry out work that will relieve the pressure on that particular part of the county. So that is the proposal of 2.1. I'll take each one as we go. So I propose that that is accepted. Are we all happy with that? Yep, that's unanimous. The next one is Riding for the Disabled Adaptions at Kirkley Hall. Inflationary pressures, I believe.
Yes, Leader, inflationary pressures. The tenders were received in March 2022, and since then, as you know, we've seen significant increases in material cost prices. So this is asking for £50,000, although I would say, again, like I said the first time, this is a very worthwhile project. It is a riding centre for the disabled children of Northumberland. It lets them do things that they wouldn't normally be able to do. And from a financial side, under the previous arrangements, it was costing us, or costing Active Northumberland, £96,000 a year. So by transferring this to the college, we are still seeing a big in-year cost saving.
Yes. Okay, so that's where we've got to in terms of inflationary pressures. So are you proposing that? Proposed and seconded by Councillor Patterson. Are we all happy with that one? We are. The next one is the pupil referral unit. Now, this is another interesting one as well. Guy.
Of course. So the pupil referral unit moved into the old Atkinson House site in Seg Hill. Previously, it was sort of tucked away on an industrial estate and really wasn't an appropriate place for learners. It is much better where it is now, and we need the money to update the building. It's coming out of the basic need allocation, so it's already been approved, as it were, at full council. This is just drawing down some of that money.
So that's very good news, and we're all in favour of that. Right, the next one is a very welcome extra £3.872 million from central government funding to help us with our highways maintenance and pothole repairs in this current year. I'm sure we'll be able to spend that, Councillor Riddle. I mean, I think on top of all the work that we're doing on the roads, bearing in mind that we found £15 million extra on top of the local transport plan, we've recently found another 3 million, I think it was, nearly 3 million, for C and U class roads, acknowledging the importance of those roads. I think we are very much stepping up to the plate, and it was quite interesting actually just going to London the other day how many potholes there are on the M1, on the M25 and throughout various parts of London. So whilst I'm not in any way reducing the enormity of the issue facing all councils, I do pay tribute to our staff who do a great job on managing the pothole problem, and I know you all agree with that. So this is an extra amount of money which we will be looking at in due course, and I think we all welcome this. Did you propose that we accept this? You did, and Councillor Watson seconded. So are you all in favour, please? That's definitely very much a yes. And now we move on to another very important project that the council is involved with, which is the Blythe Relief Road. Wojciech, tell us about this.
Yes, so as you said, that project is very, very important for Blythe, our largest town, and it has been on the agenda of this council and its predecessors for about 30 years, and we finally may deliver it very soon, I think by 2026. Of course, that project faces additional inflationary pressures, and we are asked to allocate additional £430,000 due to inflationary pressures, but that is just to adjust our 15% contribution. The rest, in reality, the cost is rising by nearly £3 million, and the rest will be covered by DFT as part of their funding for the project. And it will provide the relief for the mostly congested roads in the county, Coopen Road and Laverock Hall Road, and it's important that we proceed with this project as soon as possible. So I hope you will approve that for myself as a Blythe resident, as a councillor from Blythe also. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's a really important project, this, and it's good to see that we are not taking our foot off the pedal on this, finding another £400,000 to keep the work going. So I hope that's a clear signal of the intent of this administration to make sure that we do provide a relief road for Blythe, something, as you quite rightly say, has been lingering. It's been thought about, but nothing's actually happened until recent years. So let's maintain that momentum. Excellent project. So did you propose that? You did, and it was seconded by Councillor Patterson. Are you all in favour of this extra money for the Blythe Relief Road project? And then finally, the contracts in excess of delegated limits, whatever that means. Richard, you'll tell us.
Let me just find my paper, Leader, 1 moment. 2.6.
Well, actually, I can help you on this one because this is about replacing doors and windows to council-owned dwellings in line with the agreed capital investment programme funded through the HRA. And this is the £1.3 million, which includes a tender submission for contingency of 10%, to include a backlog of replacement doors for the repairs and maintenance team. It's anticipated the contract will commence soon. And 450 homes will benefit from having timber windows and or doors replaced with UPVC. So that is what you were about to say.
That is the one.
Excellent. And on that very splendid and happy news, are we happy to take that one as more commitment to our council house tenants?
I would be delighted to propose that one, Leader.
I'm so pleased. And is there a seconder? There's who should we have here? Councillor Horncastle, you seconded that, I think. Sorry? Yes. And are you all in favour? You are, that's... Delegated decisions there for you to note. One around the local transport plan, which we don't need to discuss because the local transport plan has been agreed and discussed previously. I wonder if we have got to take that. No, it's just a record of decision that's been made. So the recommendations there are to approve the LTP programme, the detail of which is set out. I think we'll just, as a matter of courtesy and process, just take a vote that we're all happy with this. So is there a proposer?
Happy to note that.
Happy to note that. Are you happy to second that, Councillor Pojai? And everyone in favour? So we note that report. That's lovely. Thank you very much. And then the other one was a decision taken by the 151 officer and the Executive Director of Transformation and Resources around the pre-full business case grant funding arrangement for Energy Central Learning Hub. We note that one. Can we agree to note that? Are you all in favour to note that? Yes. That's everyone. That's unanimous. Lovely. Now, for once, we have some urgent business, which is around the Northumberland line. And I've agreed to take this as an urgent item because we need to press the button on a number of parts of this very exciting scheme in order for us to reach the opening next year. So this is urgent. We need to just get this into the system, this decision today. I have had a discussion, officers have had a discussion with the scrutiny chair, the relevant scrutiny chair, and that he has agreed that this is business and should be taken in such a way. So that is why this report is here for you today. And I'll just very quickly touch on it, which I think we know all about the Northumberland line. This is the most fantastic, like the Blythe Relief Road, really. Another one of those that's been talked about for a long time, but nothing really much happened. Over the last few years, we've seen the Northumberland line it really move forward, and I must pay tribute to the local MP, Ian Levy, and along with government as well, the Department for Transport, the Secretary of State who came up to meet us, the Rail Minister who also came up to meet us recently, and the full-scale support that we've received from government and from the North of Tyne Combined Authority, who have also been incredibly supportive and very helpful as well. This is a hugely important step for us to take. It will transform the transportation of our residents into Newcastle and beyond, and for those coming to Northumberland the other way. Hugely important in terms of carbon reduction, hugely important for those people who currently have to battle their way through Gosforth in order to get into Newcastle. Not a lot of fun, and they will be able to take the train now and no longer have to worry about being held up in traffic jams. Hugely important, and so that's why we're taking this today. Councillor Pojai, do you want to add anything to this?
Not really. I think you covered that. I just would like to emphasize how important that project is for all of these reasons which you mentioned, and that will bring the passenger railway line to nearly 150,000 people for the first time in, I think, 60 years. And it's really important that we push the button on it and we proceed with the construction as soon as possible to open the railway line next year.
Yeah. Absolutely. So the recommendations, because this is urgent business, I'll just basically précis them. So this is around the increased costs principally associated with the construction of the new stations and the line over the line at Newsham. To add a contribution from North of Tyne Combined Authority, subject to their investment panel process, of 5 million. I'm very grateful indeed should that should that agreement be made. To add 7.5 million from the Department of Transport to the capital programme that we will reimburse over time. Approve an allocation of 2.08 from the Strategic Regeneration Projects budget. To approve an allocation of a maximum of 2 million from the capital contract price inflation budget. To approve the revised financial profile from both expenditure and income to the Council's contributions to the Northumberland Line and the Newsham Road Bridge. And finally, to delegate approval to the Director of Place and Regeneration to execute all contracts relating to the Northumberland Line project through to entry into service, which we hope to be summer next year, unless they find any more unexploded bombs or things that might be interesting archaeologically, but let's hope they don't. But hopefully it's up in place in summer next year. The line starts then, hopefully, through to the entry of service, including the construction of the Newsham Road Bridge and all the funding being in place. So there we are. That is really the most important decision we've made on this, basically to press the button and say, right, this is it, there's the final bit of funding. We've found extra money. North of Tyne have very kindly, subject to their process in May, have also indicated they will help us with this, which is hugely important for the whole of the North of Tyne region, of course, and the Department of Transport, as I said. So there we are. I would like to propose these recommendations and seconded by Councillor Pojai. Are there any questions in any of this at all, other than I'm sure your real full support and happiness about this? Okay, so are you all in favour? Please show. That's unanimous. And I think that takes us to the end of this meeting. So thank you all very much for attending. What an interesting meeting this has been. We've made some really important decisions about key projects in which the County Council are going to remain fully involved.